They call this the information age, but they're wrong. We're actually just drowning in raw data. We tweet, Skype, Facebook, email, text. Our business databases track everything, every item, every transaction. It's too much data for yesterday's tools to handle, because this is the age of big data. The solution starts with Thor, the data fusion reactor. Thor hammers all that data, forging it into valuable information. All that valuable information feeds into Roxy. And Roxy delivers the information individual customers need right when they need it at light speed. Roxy delivers to all your customers, all at the same time. This is the power of HPCC systems, managing big data for the information age.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2016 HPCC Systems Engineering Summit Community Day. And now, please welcome to the stage Vice President of Technology and Head of HPCC Systems, Dr. Flavio Villanustre.
Hello, everyone. Very good. First thing is a microphone test to make sure everything works, and it always does. Now, that video left me speechless. It's really great, and I want to publicly thank the author of all the animations, David Dasher, who is with us here in the audience, and we'll be talking about very cool things that he has done over the last year on HPCC, and this goes on top of what he has already spoken about last year, if you remember, for those that have been here last year. And also Richard Taylor, who put the voice. Where is Richard there? Somewhere there. Ah, there you go, Richard. So that voice that you heard in that video, that's Richard's voiceover. Great, thank you very much. So how many of you are returning people in this conference? Large number. And how many of you are new? Oh, a large number too. Okay, very good. Yeah, there are too many people here anyway. Well, let's get this started, and let's do a little bit of a quick cover of what this conference is about, what the ultimate goals of our HPCC efforts are, and a little bit of introduction on what we'll do throughout today. So, welcome, and thank you very much for being here, first of all, and thank you very much for spending the night last night with us, those that were here. We had a wonderful dinner, and we had some very good posters out there. If you haven't seen those posters, I encourage that you look at them. Those are very good, and we will have to announce the poster winners today. So that will come throughout the day. This is the original vision, and this vision stays the same. We haven't changed the way we believe that we are positioning ourselves throughout the HPCC open source community effort. We do believe that HPCC is one of our most valued assets, and we do envision a bright future for HPCC, and it has had a very bright past, so we don't expect any less, and a very good present. But we want to ensure that HPCC is still relevant years down the road. Of course, HPCC today doesn't look anywhere like it was 10 or 15 years ago. Things have changed. Fortunately, things has grown, it has become more efficient, it has added plenty of new capabilities, but it's still HPCC at the core. It is still the same type of technology, but now brought to a decade later. And we expect that this will continue, and the way this will continue will be throughout the effort in the community, is the ability for us to gather like-minded people that want to use this wonderful platform and wants to also contribute into the ecosystem. This means code contributions, of course. I always say people come asking for things and saying, well, we should implement this thing in HPCC, we should implement this other thing, and Richard will agree with me in this one, Richard Chapman, one of the, and the lead of the core developers. I say, well, that's great, open a Jira ticket and we'll put it in the roadmap. But Jira tickets alone have a little bit of a strength, but if you combine them with a pull request with actual code, they are far more useful. So feel free to also contribute code when you submit your Jira ticket. It doesn't work every time, but it does work many times. We want to also ensure that we continue to innovate throughout HPCC. And even though in the past, when HPCC was closed source, all the innovation came from us, from internal innovation. Now we are seeing a lot of innovation coming from the community, and we want this to continue and to expand as the community becomes bigger, and not just bigger in number, but also more active, more engaged. We expect to get more innovation, and you will see plenty of that today. We will, and for those that walked throughout the corridor yesterday with the posters and some of the things that has been done in a number of areas, like, for example, machine learning, and the theme of the conference is machine learning, by the way. So you expect to see quite a bit in the area of machine learning and AI and HPCC. But there are many, many other areas of innovation, and innovation that has to do, for example, with hardware, new hardware, supporting hardware that has now not 1 or 2 or 3 cores in your CPU, but 20, 30, 50, hundreds, thousands. And growing in memory and a persistent non-volatile memory and other things that are quite disruptive in the hardware area. Well, what have we been doing last year? We did a lot of things, and most of the things, or all of them, are thanks to you. You have done these things. I'm just putting a slide together for us to remember what we have done. So we have done quite a bit of work in our website, and this includes not just the HPCC portal, but more important, all of our online training resources. We, and I need to thank David Dasher again, we have had a great community member who volunteered to help us build our next generation of online training. So all of our massive open online courses on HPCC have been now ported to a much better look and feel. And again, I need to give thanks to Richard and Bob, who have done a great work, a great job of moving all of this content and adapting it to a system that now allows you to take this online training even in your mobile phone. You can use a phone or a tablet and learn HPCC while you are sitting in the comfort of your sofa while watching the football game on Sundays. How cool is that? Maybe not. Okay. Well, you can pick whenever you want to watch it. Don't worry. Don't worry. The other thing that we have done is we really became cool. And this is officially cool. And how do you become cool? That's when you come up with your own acronym for your stack. We saw the LAMP stack out there, LAMP. That sounds, LAMP is Linux, MySQL, PHP, and Apache. Well, but LAMP is lame. How about Strike? That sounds really good. It's a nice word, and we combined. Of course, we need to do a little bit of digging to find the right letters to build a stack, but no, you'll see, it's intuitive, so it does work. And you will see a lot about the Strike. If you haven't got your stickers, go get the stickers. We have also tattoos around the Strike theme, and we can even do permanent tattoos. If anyone wants to volunteer for a permanent tattoo, we can do that for you too. Anyway, what else have we been doing that is at the core of the platform? Well, we strengthened all of our machine learning capabilities. We have now a dedicated team working to make machine learning better. We have been doing what we used to call statistical modeling and scoring, and now it's more widely called machine learning. For a long time, we have used different software packages. We have even implemented things from scratch. But we do believe that we need a scalable machine learning throughout all of our internal LexisNexis and RELX systems. As we move more and more towards an analytical organization, we need to build more of these capabilities through HPCC because all of our data is in HPCC and because our data is very large, and scaling this using the little one node system running Python or something, it is fairly hard, or SAS or whatever you want to run. So expect to see quite a bit of industry strong or industry strength type of machine learning in HPCC. There are a number of talks about this. We have one of the members of that team, Roger Dev, here. John Holt unfortunately couldn't make it, but he's leading this effort and he's actively working to get this machine learning revamped. And there are a number of community members also working in machine learning. We have one of the community members in Florida Atlantic University that is working on developing a deep learning stack. We have a couple of the components already built. There are plenty more components to build, and she's actively doing that. So Mariam, who should be around here at that point. Anyway, we have also done, and I mentioned some of the things around the growth in hardware and the way the hardware developed over the last decade or so. With these many core systems and lots of memory and fast interconnects and persistent non-volatile RAM and other things. So we have also moved the software to support all of these capabilities and expect to have a much better performance right nowadays. With how many of you are running or have used our 6.0 version? Some of you have, very good. For those that haven't, I encourage you to upgrade or to at least test it. Run the VM or something, see how it works. It has a number of enhancements, and those are both on Thor and Roxy, but in Thor particularly, the ability for it to leverage cores and expand the processing of activities throughout every core in the system. And virtual slaves, and if you don't know what virtual slaves are, you should, well, you will learn a little bit more later today, but you should really look at that. That gives you a nice performance boost. I want to mention that we have a couple, well, more than a couple, we have quite a few people that come from the European Union. So thank you very much for making the long trip. You are the ones that really made the effort. Well, not that everyone didn't make the effort too, and don't feel bad for that. But we have even people from our sister companies within RELX, and many of them are around in many tables. And we have also people from the outside, from the academic community. We have Professor Freytag and Fabian, who should be here. There you go. And they came from Berlin, from our collaboration with Humboldt University. We, Elsevier and us, founded Center for Excellence in Analytics in Berlin in collaboration with Humboldt. And we have now a fairly interesting set of activities going on there with quite a bit of research. And you will see one of the reports of one of the collaborative research efforts that we are doing there today on approximate matching and approximate searches. So just hold on, you'll see this in a few minutes. We did have a number of students that have been mentored throughout our HPCC internship program and other efforts on HPCC related topics. So this is, and I want to emphasize this, we put quite a bit of effort and resources to ensure that all of these people that went through these internship programs, they really got a meaningful internship. Yes, they produce things that are useful to HPCC, to the community, but more important, they learn things that are valuable for them in their careers, in their lives. And this is one of the, I think, most important areas that we really put emphasis on. We ensure that we have proper expert mentors. We ensure that these mentors dedicate at least 10 hours a week in mentoring. And 10 hours a week for a person that works 40 hours means that that person that week probably works 50 hours. So that is a lot of effort, but it is very successful. And it's successful not because we get these nice things done, but it's because those people that are going through the program come back saying how ecstatic they are. And they eventually come back applying for jobs and wanting to join the organization. And if they don't apply for jobs and they go to work somewhere else, they still use the skills that they learned. And many times they come back to the HPC community anyway. So it is a great program, and we have Lorraine Chapman here, who has been also quite important, quite core to ensuring that this program works smoothly throughout every year. And she was the one organizing GSOC last year, and this year she has been doing an excellent job on all this coordination as well. And on this slide, last but not least, I wanted to tell you about an interesting development in the area. And when I say the area, in this case, I'm referring to the geographical area in Atlanta or Georgia. We have a collaboration with an organization called Tech Square Labs, and Brock should be around in the audience somewhere. And this collaboration ensures that we can bring HPCC to other organizations, particularly startup organizations, but not just startups, also large established companies that want to do innovation. The Tech Labs organization is both an incubator on one side for entrepreneurships, startups, and on the other hand is an innovation development organization, and they tap into large organizations to help them foster innovation throughout the organization. So thanks to this effort, we have now a number of active projects in this community, and we expect this to grow. And we expect this to eventually replicate throughout other communities as well. And this is only started in Atlanta just because it's in our backyard, and it just made perfect sense to start there. It makes it easy. But we expect that this model will be replicated across the world if we can. Community engagement, and I just can't talk enough about this one, so I will probably won't talk much. There are plenty of things that we have done this year, and we have lots of demonstrations of huge engagement, and we have done, as you can see there, webinars and press and awards, and these are just some samples. It's whatever we could fit in one picture, in one slide. I encourage you, if you haven't, just go and Google for HPCC systems and see, use the search options and look for the last year and see what we have done. There is plenty material there. And a couple messages that are important are our 6.0 version I mentioned before is out, but 6.2 is also around the corner. We have a release candidate 2 that is already out. So if you want to live in the leading edge or bleeding edge, I encourage you to go and take a look. But if you wait for a little bit, you will be able to see the final release quite soon. And that has also interesting capabilities added. I won't cover them now. And the other one is we have a number of blogs going on. And we have a new blog series that includes what we have in the new versions of the software. So if you are curious about a new version, whatever, 6.2 is coming out, and you want to know what is in there, just go to this blog series and you'll get a little bit of a sneak peek of what's there and potentially what's coming too, because there is quite a bit of thinking on what's going on as part of our strategic roadmap throughout the years, even as part of the blog. And of course, meetups. Meetups have been very active. We have done a ton of them. Thanks to all of those ambassadors that have participated and talked in the meetups, some of them helping coordinate things, some of them bringing some of these meetup people into a room so that we can agree on doing this, and some of them are speakers in many of these meetups. So thank you very much for all the effort that you have put. Now, some of the things that we need to know for today, and these are the to-dos, and I encourage you to network, to get things mixed. If you go for a break and come back, feel free to sit in a different table, and feel free to use the breaks to talk to people. Feel free to take notes on what people speak about, and then if that's interesting to you, go to the speaker later on, or ask questions, of course, but if you either didn't have the opportunity to ask a question or your question would require a lengthy conversation, just get with the speaker later and discuss what's interesting and how you can collaborate. The one thing that is, I think we haven't tapped enough into is the ability to do more than a two-way collaboration with entities. And we have plenty of entities here, that organizations that collaborate with us as LexisNexis or HPCC systems division of LexisNexis. But we don't have enough of a 3- or 4-way collaboration where a research organization in one side can identify common areas of collaboration with another academic entity in some other side, and maybe something around HPCC so we can help on our side to provide some resources, and maybe with someone else that has some application in the industry. And perhaps we can build things that are far, far more sophisticated or complex or more ambitious, just because we can have a joint effort across many organizations. So keep this in mind as you see things throughout the day, and if there is something that seems to pique your interest, please explore it, dig further, try to see what you can get, and of course, meet people. That's very, very important. It doesn't matter if you have today common interest, but someday you can meet a common interest. So meeting people and knowing who they are, it's always useful in the long run. I encourage you to take a look at the booth outside. Probably you all saw the new booth that we have put there, and we have a few stickers there. But more important, I'd like to hear your opinions. We thought that we had a sleek design for that booth. It took us quite a bit of thinking and some people from the outside to help us come up with ideas and designs. But we think we got to something that is quite compelling. We wanted for it to be a little bit less corporate oriented, so we tried to make it like free flowing with round lines and all that, and a nice attractive look and feel, so people get comfortable and can get close to the people that are in the booth and can discuss things. And some of the poster presentations, people that presented posters might be doing also some demos around the booth. We have there space for with a monitor for someone to put a computer and play something. Or demo something. So if someone has interest in doing this throughout the breaks or in the break lunch or something, just let me know and we can arrange that. And of course we have breaks and lunch. That's mandatory, or you wouldn't be able to withstand the entire day. It's a long day. It is fully packed. We expect it to be very engaging. We ensure that every one of the presentations had the right detail of content to make them meaningful, but also the right way to deliver the message, to make sure that they were not dry. We went through extensive dry runs with people and verified that all the content was really of interest for the wide audience and at least the vast majority of the wide audience that we have. So I hope this is as exciting as it was for us to go through those dry runs. I think you will really enjoy the day. Yes, there is plenty of content. It is quite densely packed, so don't expect to take a light run today, but it will be, I think it will be cool. And again, take notes, remember the speakers, talk to them if you want, and see if there is anything else that can come out just beyond that mere content that was delivered throughout the presentations. And social media, yes, I see people with your phones in your hands. Please, do tweet, get in social media, tell people that you are doing this, tell people how cool these things are, tweet about the presentations, even get controversial statements if you want, and it's great to have people engage in some way. This is, I think, is a very nice vehicle to get others interested. Unfortunately, we couldn't get everyone that we wanted today. We have space limitations, as you can see, so it makes it difficult to get everyone we would like to, even though we try to get as many as we could. But in order to overcome that little obstacle, we have live streaming. Live streaming, yes. For those that are right there, we have now people that are watching us in our YouTube channel from around the world. And if you tweet and you notify your friends and colleagues through social media, please tell them that the live stream is running. We will have the entire day live streamed. And if you need to run to the bathroom or you miss a presentation, well, don't worry. You can always go back and watch those back. We will have 4 segments throughout the day, and those will be independent videos. So yeah, I know it's a little bit harder to seek in videos to find the right content, but since they are smaller segments, it should be fairly easy for you to identify those things that you missed or those that you wanted to hear more. Maybe you were taking notes and you couldn't pay attention too much, so now your opportunity is to go back to the video and watch it there. And for those that are on the live stream today, and I'm sure there are plenty of people there, please try to watch and stay there and watch as much as you can, and try to reach out to us. We have social media channels here. We will be looking actively to your tweets and any other social media post if you use the right hashtags, and we have the hashtag there, HPCC Summit. And we will be trying to answer your questions and contacting you in a two-way communication if we can. Now, important message. We have a number of return speakers. Yes, there are people that just can't have enough of this. So they come. Not only do they come, but they also talk again. So we have a number of people, and you can see their pictures there. And hopefully, you will be seeing their faces also there. And if there is a face that you don't see, then there is something wrong, because they will be speaking today. David Dasher, I mentioned him and the nice 3D animation video. He'll be talking about a number of good things that he has done with his organization, which is a global online training organization in the UK. We have Victor Herrera, and I didn't mention Victor before, but Victor is one of the people that have provided the largest blocks of code contributions to HPCC. He developed single-handedly the entire random forest implementation for HPCC. So this is a very important set of classifier methods that we use on one side, but many other people use too. So if you use random forests and you find it useful and you find it working very well and performing extremely well as well, please thank Victor. He is the one that wrote it, and he's with us today. So his face there, he'll be talking later. We have Shidit too. He'll be talking about things that are a derivation or an expansion on things that he talked last year. He spoke about Concord, if you remember, and today we will speak about something that he has developed in the last few months, and I hope you find it interesting. He had also a poster out there. We have Vince, and how many of you are interested in football? Raise your hands. Okay, good. I'm not, so I'm not going to raise my hand. But anyway, so if you are interested in football, and it's not just football, it's any sport. It could even be gambling, but I'm not going to say that. I don't want to get controversial. Interestingly enough, Vince has worked with his team to develop, and this is nice applied research, a methodology to analyze plays in football and come up with probability scores of forecasts. Based on the performance of these people and these teams, we believe that this match, this game, will have this outcome. So that's quite interesting, and I hope you enjoy that too. And Syed, who's coming also to talk about things related to what he has spoken last year. I'll just let him go there. Don't want to make this too long. But now, just to close this opening session, close an opening session, yeah, well, yeah, it is. We will be welcoming our first speaker of the day, and he's the one that is going to break the ice because I didn't do a good job at it. I welcome Raj, and please help me welcome him. He is the founder of an organization called ClearFunnel. ClearFunnel is a provider of solutions as a service. And I don't want to say software as a service or even applications as a service. His company develops, it's an entrepreneur company, it's a startup, and has developed a system and a methodology to build solutions, analytical solutions on the cloud for their customers. And he has a very interesting business model, and more important, he uses HPCC. The entire backend is based on HPCC, and he can't say enough how much HPCC has helped them scale with very few resources when they started almost from scratch with almost zero cost, and develop a very viable organization with just HPCC and a few very good ideas. So please welcome Raj. Raj, you can come to stage. Thank you very much.
Good morning, all. You can hear me? Cool. So tough being a first speaker, right? And not easy following Flavio. I've been following him for 8 years now in all presentations. So don't expect anything funny like what Flavio said. I'm just going to stick to my presentation and just read out of the slides. So I'm here to talk about how ClearFunnel bootstrapped and came up with the big data solutions as a service. And as Flavio said, we had no investment, so we had to do it all on our own. We wanted to have the least amount of resources and give the maximum returns. And we said, like, let's do it. And we used exclusively HPCC systems as the backend to do it. Before I jump into it, let me give a quick background on how I got associated with HPCC. Around 8 years back, I was working with the Reed Group, working on their technology solutions, when I came across this HPCC. And it looked unique, it was amazing. Even before people really knew about MapReduce, it was doing MapReduce in a completely different way. We said, hey, I should get in somehow. That's what I was thinking. And then, like 4 or 5 years back, when they open sourced it, then I realized, you know what, at any cost, I should be part of this. And then when they became really good on Amazon, I said, I should get out of here, right? I should do something on my own. So that's what it was, and finally we had the courage to start something on our own last year. So all that I'm going to talk about has happened only in the last 1 year, where we started with nothing, scratch, took the community edition of HPCC on Amazon, and now we have paying customers who actually we generate revenue. First, what we are not, right? Since we have a lot of people, we are not systems integrators. We are not technology consulting firms. We do not supply ECL programmers, and we are not technology resellers for HPCC. We shamelessly take everything from HPCC, but we don't do anything else with HPCC. So thanks to the community for doing it. We build big data solutions. As Flavio said, right, we are not in the platform to give you as a platform. We take problems which clients cannot solve. We provide the solution as a service. People pay per use so that we do not charge you for building the solution. We charge for only using the solution. With this, we have found out a viable revenue model. We use HPCC systems extensively, meaning extensively as in on a busy day, we have at least 3,300 slaves running on our cluster. That is how extensively we use HPCC across all clients. We are hosted completely on AWS, and I'll tell you why we chose HPCC and AWS. And our solutions do 3 things: big data processing, doing advanced analytics, and lastly, machine learning and artificial intelligence, trying to extend what we can do with our analytics. Those are the only 3 things we do with HPCC. And whatever benefits we got from HPCC, we are passing it on to the clients. So that is our business model, the unique business model which Flavio said. Whatever low cost we could prepare our solution and give a high-end solution, we are providing it directly to the customer, saying that, hey, this is the lowest cost on producing this, and you're going to pay it monthly. So which means that you can actually host a solution for less than what you have paying for one single developer, right? So that is a shameless plug of ClearFunnel, guys. So thanks for that. So why did we use HPCC systems in our startup journey? First thing is, as any other startup, that to a bootstrap startup, we wanted to fail fast and fail often. And we want to get out a product which is good enough, right? Which is good enough as in people can start using it. The solution is useful. But at the same time, just to make it good enough, we had to do 15 iterations. It's not easy. It's not like I wrote a beta product sitting at my desk the previous night and I got something outright and started making money. That's not how it was. Even our good enough product required 15 iterations. And that was possible only because ECL was there. ECL is declarative and it is homogeneous. We write something, we know that we can use it in Thor. Some of the libraries we need to use it in Roxy, we use it in Roxy also. That was one of the biggest game changer for us when we went with HPCC. So we need not learn any other technologies. If we had gone with any non-homogeneous technologies which are Java-based, still open source, we would have had multiple programmers required to go and help us. Whereas we said, if we can just learn ECL and can we make solutions and can we be successful, the entire Reed group is running on HPCC systems. We definitely can make a market out of it. So we chose ECL exclusively for our product. The second is the flexibility of ECL and HPCC. We wanted the same thing happening on our infrastructure product also. So we looked around. We didn't want any DevOps engineer really setting up. We don't want to set up clusters. That's when the Amazon came into picture. All said and done, Amazon is the best for doing any cloud horizontal scalability, and HPCC supported Amazon completely. So we said, okay, if I can combine HPCC and Amazon, have I got a viable platform on which I can use the least amount of resources, automate completely, and make it happen? The answer was yes, we went with that. And our technology stack is very simple. At any given time in our company, including the CEO, we need only 3 skills. HPCC systems, understand basically how Bash and Python works. Reason being, like Amazon supports Python to a great extent, and Python is very easy and to learn, scripting language literally almost. And AWS has understood how to give out all their capabilities as microservices. So we extensively use it, these 3, which means that whoever we add, either as an intern or as a senior person, need to understand only these 3 technology stack to start being productive on day number 1. We use complex machine learnings, NLP. We use some of the capabilities in ECL. We have written some of the stuff on top of it in the libraries. We are looking forward to the new machine learning libraries which are coming out. Because one of the things is, even though there are other machine learning libraries like Veka and others, they do not scale properly. Mahout, in the same way, you have to do a lot. But whereas with ECL, the way they distribute and do the text analytics has helped us a lot. I'm going to go through a couple of solutions which we did with ECL, and you're going to find that how the text analytics was made easy because the way they distribute and do the stuff. Very close to near real time, right? HPCC systems, people usually use it for crunching large amount of data, but I'm going to tell you one of the cases where we have actually achieved refreshing the index every 30 seconds. That is the closest to near real time you can get. And I'm not talking about complex event processing, reacting an event in 30 seconds. We are talking about refreshing your entire index, gigabytes of index, moving from Thor to Roxy every 30 seconds and incrementally doing it. Again, thanks to the way HPCC systems, super key, and indexes were done, we were able to achieve it. The second innovation, right? I talked so much about ECL, but I will talk a little bit about what we had to do to make this work for us. Amazon is great, but we don't want to have a DevOps architect, a DevOps engineer, and someone who is continuously looking into it. The same distributed capability which HPCC gave, we wanted to see, can we come up with automation using Amazon DevOps and make it happen? So one thing which we did as a key innovation for us is we understood how the graphs work in HPCC. All of you who use HPCC know that, right? Each work is made into a graph, and your most complex graph dictates what is the size of your cluster. So if we find that we have 10 graphs, and the 6th graph needs 500 slaves to make it happen, usually people set up a cluster for 500 slaves. So we wanted to see how we can break it and say that I will distribute the graph itself, but at the same time, make sure that I don't spray, despray ingest again and again. How do I make this happen on Amazon and automate it so that I even break my graphs and build my own workflow? Like how Amazon does the workflow with the Elastic MapReduce, we did something very similar, wherein we will break the HPCC's Thor jobs into graphs, and your first job needs only 2 clusters, only 2 clusters is spun off, shut down automatically. 6th job needs 500 slaves, 500 slaves is spun off. Once it is done, we bring it down. Cost came down drastically. It's like 1/10 of the cost now to operate it. Already we are doing it in Amazon. We have written our own programs to bid and do a price zone, automatic spot pricing. And with this combination, which is possible in HPCC, operational cost, 1/10. So this is our first innovation which really helped us. So HPCC, Amazon, we started building our products. So I'm going to talk about 2 different products so that you get a flavor of what we have built, right? We have talked about automation, we have talked about the engineering side. Now let's go to the solution side of it. The very first one is entity and topic extraction. A lot of people use HPCC on numerical side, but HPCC is really powerful on the text side. In order to understand how text works, you need to understand how to extract the words and try to do entities, topics, keywords, etc. One of the client came and said, can you do it? We were given 6 weeks, and we had to actually recommend which article someone would like. Like, for example, Flavio likes to read articles about Kafka. We have to say that whenever Flavio comes in, we have to say, hey, you know what? He's looking for a Kafka article. How did we know it? We had to look at some historical data and come up with it. I see a couple of sessions later down which is going to talk about it, I hope. But one of the things we had to do it was come up in a model such that it is not restrictive to only one client. We wanted to do it across domain. That's how we make the money. We want to do it for medical. We want to do it for publications. We want to do it for any other type. We want to see whether can we do it for multiple languages. So we completely structured it in a different way. Before I go on, right, I have a URL here for entity extraction. We have set it up. You guys can look into it. I don't want to name names, but our client was using one of the leading online text analytics product to extract entities. So they came and asked us, can you do taxonomy and do this stuff? We did it. We structured it in the following way. We said we will not only do entity extraction, we will do plagiarism and similarity. We will tell you whether your article was copied from someone, how similar it is. And when we talk similar, we are talking about context. We will talk about what is the point of view. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are entities, right? But you know that one article is about praising Hillary Clinton, other is praising Donald Trump. How do I find the context, even though both names are provided? Second, how do I do sentiments, right? Sentiment analysis is completely different. There are a lot of software doing it. But sentiment changes from language to language. Like two negatives make a positive, right? Everyone knows. But in English, two positives make a negative, right? Like, yeah, right. If you say right, it's a negative sentiment. How do I find out how it is done, right? So we have come up with some libraries which work on top of that. Finally, social signals. How can I actually incorporate social signals to identify which article is a better article? And lastly, how do I do my text analytics machine learning products, right? Random forest, J48. We have other basic SVM, meta classifiers. We have come up with some of the classifiers which we wrote on top of HPCC, which came up with the committee of classifiers. But instead of just leaving it there, we also set up an ensemble and did one additional optimization on top of it. Again, these are some of the IPs which would come finally tell you what exactly is Flavio reading. That's basically the answer which we wanted to give. So go into this URL. We have opened it up. Instead of layering the taxonomy with clients and domains, we have unplugged everything, and we have opened it only with Wikipedia. So when you go in and go search for it, you will find entities extracted purely based on Wikipedia, historic Wikipedia. The next innovation we had to do was, one client came and said, I want to collect all the B2B web traffic and start analyzing buyer behavior. And when they said, I want to analyze buyer behavior, they said, I don't want to do it at a demographic level. I don't want to understand what people are doing in general. I don't want to understand what LexisNexis is searching for, right? I want to understand who in LexisNexis is searching for security solutions so that I call them. My sales guy will go and say, I want to call Raj and say, hey, I heard that you're looking for security solutions, and that's what I sell. So very targeted buyer behavior, triangulations, right? So we had some algorithms coming from the client, which are some statistical analysis. We enhanced it with our knowledge of whatever statistical modeling we had. We did data triangulation using a lot of public data, LinkedIn, Twitter, and also the global B2B web traffic data. And we came up with a scoring. And that scoring engine would tell you who in Alpharetta, inside the LexisNexis risk building, is most probably searching for a security solution. So this is a second type of analytics which we had to do. One of the biggest advantage we had with HPCC was the algorithms to analyze behavior was given by our client. And it was not properly designed to work in a scalable way. That's why they came to us. So we had to make sure that we write it without modifying it and use as much as possible as is so that the IP still remains with the client. But we use the distributed capability of ECL to make it happen across like terabytes of data. Usually the global web traffic data per day is at least 5 terabytes. That's what we get. So which means when we analyze it and we look at trends for the last 3 months, how it has changed, who is looking for it, why is Alpharetta is looking now, earlier Miami was looking for it or Dayton was looking for it. Those type of analysis needs voluminous data. And that's where HPCC helped us do it. And we have now created Roxy APIs, which would give you split-second answers for it. So I'm almost coming to the near end of where I'm going to talk, right? So these are the two major cases I talked, but I want to pause a moment here and tell you, apart from these two innovations where we had to do, there were other case studies with permissions. All these are paying customers, so we had to get some permissions. I'm going to talk a little abstract on some of the things we have done so that we showcase only what we have done with HPCC. One maritime client came and said, I want you to read streaming data coming from every vessel in the sea. And if any of you have been in the maritime industry, you will find that satellite time is the costliest, which means you're going to get a very small encoded string, which only talks about where the vessel is and what is the speed in which they are going. That's it, nothing much. Maybe the name of the vessel and the number of the vessel. And we did an analysis and found out that very few countries actually enforce that we get a proper number. We have seen vessels in China use first 3 digits as 357 or something, and it's all zeros, which means that you will find a vessel which will say that, hey, I am here in Singapore. 30 seconds later, the same vessel number will say that I am in Orlando. So it keeps doing it, right? You don't know whether the ship is flying or is it two different ships. What happens if you have a fleet of ships all with the same number? So we had to analyze that basic data and uncover non-obvious relationships. What is a non-obvious relationship? We wanted to find out what is the source and destination of the ship. What is the probable sea lane? What is the commodity we are doing? How is this commodity can be used by traders to actually make adjustments on what is the commodity that is flowing in from one country to another country, which is huge. So now what started as a maritime use case has now become a financial use case for them. All because we could go 2 levels deeper and uncover a non-obvious relationship, which I think would not have been possible if not for how ECL was structured and how SALT was written on top of it. So that was our inspiration to say, hey, like how SALT could do it, can we do it in an open source way for maritime industry? Advanced text analytics on medical information. One of the client came and said, I have this articles about one medical condition, but I want you to go to open source and find out articles which are similar to it. Sounds easy, right? But none of these medical journals publish a diabetic article about diabetes, right? It's more like a beta-2 blood antigen on something, which doesn't even have the word diabetes in it. Now you need to find out if I can look at some of the sample data and try to go across all these thousands of medical journals and come and tell exactly which articles are going to talk about it. That is the first step for them to even say that, hey, okay, now I understand the knowledge corpus on it. How to make it happen at a much lower cost. There are some big companies doing it with big solutions, millions of dollars. We are building it as a very open source way with like a 4 to 6 weeks of effort to make the same things happen. Streaming topic analysis. This is another thing, right? This is much more than your publication analysis. We have found out that today articles are read by 3 different demographics. Male 18 to 24, female 50 to 60, and people who like chess. 3 different demography, right? All looking at the same article. So how will advertisers advertise it not knowing whether they should target the 18 to 24 or the chess lovers, unless they are both, right? Or the female 50 to 60. In olden days, in print publication, your brand marketing space is limited to whatever you purchase it. Today in the online world, you can start changing your advertisements based on the time. So we did a time series analysis and found out that mornings are female 50 to 60, chess lovers in the evening, male 18 to 24 in the afternoon. So what has happened is all these brand sellers started targeting advertisements in a time series banner using the same topic analysis what we had to do. And lastly, on the engineering side, one client, it's a very simple HPCC engineering use case, but I thought I'll throw that also here. They had an IP where they did not want to share. They did not care about what it is. It's an executable. And all they said is, you have to use it as is, and you have to scale it using your engineering capabilities. They could not write threaded models for it. They wanted to do how I can do it. And that is when HPCC came with how I can use any of your C. It was begin C++ was the only thing earlier, right? Now you can do Java, you can do Python, you can do whatever you want. We leveraged it, used our automation platform, and we started processing billion records in 2 hours. Just by running it, done. We are talking about a couple of $1,000, the entire processing was done. So these are some of the live use cases we have done. I'm ready to close it. So just summarizing it, right? What is our work? We do advanced text analytics and NLP. We have consolidated it. We do stream processing. We do IoT processing, all using HPCC. And our work is big data processing, advanced analytics, and machine learning. Seeing the success of how we are doing, we have now started another thing called how can we give back to the community in a slightly different way and still make money, right? So we said, let's partner with other product startups who understand that they need big data as a backend. And how can we partner with them and say, hey, you know what, we will invest by bringing your backend. Because we have all these 6 or 7 different case studies, none of which are normal case studies. These are something on an outlier on each industry. We wanted to say that, hey, does this give you a confidence that we can go with HPCC and build these systems and build these products? We have started it. We already got 2 clients who are trying to work in an equity model where we are supporting their entire backend. They are focusing on the product, which is their core competency. And we have a small team. We are already a small team, but we also have a smaller team in that small team focusing on 3 things which we think is going to be useful. Image analytics, not just similar images, right? Like how we could actually extract topics from text. We want to extract features from images and see how I can leverage the features in an image and do much more stuff with it, right? Like medical. I can do completely medical analysis. I can do similarity analysis of articles when if it is all images. I can do movie analysis, trying to see which movie is similar to another movie. Sky is the limit if you can start doing image analytics. We are already working on it. Acoustic analysis. Using sound engineering, can we actually do stuff? Again, this we are already working on it. We are writing libraries on it. We want to see how successful we are. And lastly, we see that the utility companies have a lot of operational analytics. They are not really digital data. They are analog data which is coming in a digital format. It is not truly digital stuff. What we are trying to do is write machine learning algorithms, trying to understand how this analog digital data can be extended to interpret more operational analytics. These 3 are our focus. So hopefully next year, if Flavio invites us, we will talk about the success in these 3. And lastly, this is my confidence, right? Our aim is to make sure outside of Elsevier, we are the largest footprint of HPCC systems anywhere in the world. That is our first aim. We want to make sure that we are there. And the second one is continue innovating and expanding HPCC systems from a community point of view to make sure that we push the boundaries, right, on everything and keep it, try to use the flexible single stack and continue pushing it as much as possible so that the community, when it looks at what we have done, and as Flavio rightly said in his opening comments, what we have already done gives you the confidence to take it one step further. And that's the reason why today we thought we will come and talk about all the different use cases we have done, is to say that, hey, if we have already done this, let us take this as a starting point and build products one step further. So this is what I want to do. My email ID is here. Our Twitter handle is here. Website is here. Feel free to shoot questions, send mails, connect, give us business, or anything else that is you feel good. I mean, should I be brave enough to ask for questions, or should I just walk out? Any questions? Any quick questions? Okay.
So Raj, congratulations on turning an entrepreneur. I know this 1 year thing, like the travel done is like amazing. So my question for you, I'll make it short. So seeing the different projects you have worked on, I think you have touched upon different domains.
Thank you.
Now, getting trained on any technical stuff is easier, but I know, like, getting trained on a domain is going to be it's a steep journey. what was the challenge there, if at all it was there?
It's an excellent question, right? Today, what people are doing is, we find this often. People take a product capability and then say that, can I make a startup out of it? I already got this system. What can I build out of it? We purposely said, we are not going to think like that. We are going to start from a client perspective. We are going to say, here is a problem statement. Let us not even worry about which technology we are going to use. How do I structure the solution for it? And this is where I have to shamelessly say, right, I am actually riding on the shoulders of the giants who have written HPCC. When I come across some problem, and I don't know whether a HPCC can solve it, and I start diving deep into it, they have already solved it. They have written something there. So yes, we have been very fortunate that whatever solution we had to do was already thought through, and maybe that's what maybe Flavio was alluding, right? There is no problem which we have not already seen, and that's how HPCC grew. Maybe that is helping out, but yes, the focus which we are doing is top-down instead of bottom-up. Instead of capability, what we can do, we are going like, what is the problem? How will I structure the solution without regard to technology stack? And then we come and say, hey, using our engineering talent, can I use HPCC to solve it? So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Great talk. So that was a great talk. And I was following the Twitter feed, and I saw a couple of questions there and a couple of comments. One of them, and I think Raj will get a lot of talk after this break. One was on the quick update of Roxy, 30 seconds or less. That sounds very cool. And this is updating full indices, so Raj will be available for those that want to talk about that. The other one was comment on the ability to provision dynamically on a subgraph by subgraph basis on Amazon, the number of nodes that you need to execute that subgraph to make this deployment more efficient. That is so cool, all the automation. So yeah, I saw that in the tweet, and I will be talking with Raj later today, but I assume that some of you will do too. And just to make this quick, we have a next presenter now, who is Jerod from CData. Where is Jerod? Ah, there he is. That's good. So he will be talking about what they have done on supporting ODBC on HPCC. And if you have a need to connect your application through ODBC and you find out that that is possible, well, thank Jerod. Jerod?
That's really funny. So Trish was really excited about the song that she picked, and she said that I was sure that I would know what it was, but I didn't give it any thought. But as soon as it came up, any way you want it. That's exactly what we do at CData. So we'll get your HPCC systems data anywhere you want it. Yeah, so great choice. Just thanks again, Flavio, for the introduction. Thanks to LexisNexis for having us here today, and specifically to Trish for reaching out to us and inviting us to apply to give a talk. So what I'm here to do, I'll give an introduction, I'll give a brief overview of who CData is and how we integrate with HPCC systems. I'll do a run-through of the different drivers that we offer. So Flavio mentioned ODBC, but we have more technology than that. And then at the end, I'll do a brief demonstration of our Excel add-in for HPCC systems, and then the ODBC driver. I'll demonstrate extracting data and getting it into Tableau. So who am I? I'm Jerod Johnson. I'm a technical marketing engineer for CData Software. I started with the company a little over 3 years ago in the support team, so supporting the drivers, moved into a development role where I was actually coding the products that we produce, and then I was plucked from the dev room into the marketing room, so now I do technical marketing, and I'm not really sure what that means still after almost a year, but I do things like managing our social media feed, I write blog articles both for our site and other sites, I give presentations apparently, and I'll attend trade shows, and then I manage partnerships both with the data sources that we connect to and the tools that our drivers can be plugged into. So CData Software originally started in '94, so we have over 2 decades of software integration experience. We're a spinoff of a spinoff. So originally we were in software. That company still exists, making integration components, so lower level protocol integration software components. From that came RSS Bus, which is a focus on EDI integration. And within the RSS Bus technology, we started seeing a need for connectivity to different data sources. And that's where CData software came from. So we're a leader in data access and connectivity. We produce standards-based drivers that are recognizable and usable anywhere you want. So between the different technologies that we create, so ODBC drivers, JDBC drivers, ADO.NET providers, we have an Excel add-in, we make SSIS tasks, BizTalk adapters. So between the technologies we produce and the 70+ data sources that we connect to, we really do let you see the world as a database. So just a quick slide with some of the data sources that we connect to. So we don't focus solely on data storage, things that are databases and database-like, but we actually let you connect to things that aren't databases at all or happen to be NoSQL. But through the standards that we use, you get SQL access to these data sources. So popular sources like Salesforce, QuickBooks, no data sources like MongoDB. Yeah. And then, who do we serve? So these are some of the more recognizable customers that we serve. We have a broad range, a broad customer base. So we may have a single mom and pop shop who has a single license for our Excel add-in for QuickBooks, and we also have enterprise licensing OEM partners who end up with thousands, if not tens of thousands of users. So we cover a broad spectrum. So whoever you are, we can serve your needs. So what do we make exactly? So it's software, not services. So it's an installed application. It can be run on premises, on the cloud, and that's private or public cloud. And our drivers are not only standalone, but they can also be embedded. So if you're writing custom applications, you can use probably our JDBC driver or ADO.NET driver. You can integrate those into your application. So if you're writing an application that connects to HPCC systems and you're comfortable with SQL, then you should talk to me later. So between the different technologies that we produce, as you can see, we really do have data integration for every major platform and technology. So let's talk a little bit about how we connect specifically with HPCC systems. So if you're working with SQL, you're usually in a BI tool or you're writing your own applications and working with SQL there. What we do is we'll take that SQL query, we'll spin it through our drivers and our SQL engine. We'll transform that query into a request for the WSSQL web service. We'll send that off to HPCC systems, and then from there, we wait the nanoseconds for a response. We get the data back, and we'll return it to the tool or to your application as a table with rows and columns in a way that you're accustomed to seeing. One of the cool things that we offer is we have a proprietary SQL engine. It's not as applicable to HPCC systems, but what we can do is if there's a SQL request that the data source can't manage, so like I said, not a lot of a problem there with HPCC systems, we'll go to the system, we'll grab all of the data that's required. So if you're looking at joins or aggregation, grouping, we'll grab all the data, we'll churn it in memory so that when you get the response back, it's exactly the data that you were looking for and not extra stuff that you don't need to process. So I'll talk about our drivers. So there'll be a few slides here, and then we'll get to the demonstration. So the first one is our ODBC driver. It's a powerful tool. It's quick, and ODBC is a ubiquitous standard. So all of the major BI tools, support ODBC connectivity. So you're talking about things like Tableau, Power BI, QlikView, and the list goes on and on and on. Because it's ODBC, there's also Microsoft Office tools integration. So you're talking about things like mail merge, access link tables, doing some Excel queries on your HPCC systems data. And then we're working on platform independence. So not only supporting ODBC for Windows, which is what it was built for, but we also have ODBC drivers that can be used on Mac and Unix and Linux machines. And then if you're a developer, you're aware that there are ODBC connectivity options for working in VBA or .NET, C++, Delphi, things like that. All right, so the next driver is our JDBC driver. Again, you're talking about connectivity to the BI, reporting, ETL tools, and these are primarily your Java-based tools. So Cold Fusion, Crystal Reports, Eclipse, DB Visualizer. But the big draw here is obviously if you're making Java-based applications. So, web and desktop applications, you get all of the power, all of the utility of Java with connecting to, the performance that you expect from HPCC systems. So the next tool that we make is the ADO.NET provider. It's primarily a developer tool. Again, you're looking at .NET applications on the web and on the desktop. And the nice thing about the ADO.NET provider is it really simplifies connectivity to your data. So if you're used to working with SQL Server in .NET, then you can access HPCC systems the same way. So we have data readers. You can do execute queries, execute non-queries. And if you're just trying to look at the data or do other analysis in Visual Studio, then there's the standard Server Explorer connectivity as well. And then the other cool thing that we have with the ADO.NET provider is we actually have a Xamarin provider as well. For those of you that are not familiar with Xamarin, it's essentially .NET that allows you to produce mobile applications. So if you're working on a mobile application, you want an app on Android or iOS with connectivity to HPCC systems, then our Xamarin provider can do that for you. So the next one is our Excel add-in. So this is a pretty simple but still powerful tool. It gives you direct access to live HPCC systems data within Excel. So common uses include mass exports, data archiving, and that includes things like deduplication. You can pull your data into Excel to do analytics with it. So look at your tables and charts. You can do pivot tables and different queries like that. So the next tool is our OData connector. This provides an OData proxy for your HPCC systems data. So if you're used to working with OData, if you have a tool that can consume an OData feed, then our OData connector is going to let you get your HPCC systems data in a way that's still familiar to you. What's really cool about that is that it means things like AngularJS will just work with your HPCC systems data. So if that's the avenue that you're going down, then the OData connector will work for you there. And it's an installed application, again, like our other drivers. So you can put it on premises and work with it locally, or put it in the cloud. So if you have users that need web access to their HPCC systems data, you can use our OData connector to get it there. So the next set of tools these are enterprise tools. So we make components for SQL Server SSIS. So you're looking at source and destination components. So if you want to access your HPCC systems data in these SQL Server workflows, the components will get it there for you. And then if you're familiar with BizTalk, we have adapters very similar to the BizTalk adapters for SQL Server, but instead you're getting your HPCC systems data into your workflows using the orchestrations that you're already used to using. I'm talking really fast, which is good. More time for demo, right? All right, so we'll jump to the demo. So hopefully this works. We'll see what happens. Oh. Everything's connected. Yep. Okay, they're giving me the 1 minute finger. Not that 1 minute finger. You guys are way too polite to do that. Well, I guess I could be brave. Anybody have any questions so far? No? I did such a good job presenting. Oh, there we go. We have a question. Oh, we'll hit the question.
So my question is more just generally, does it connect directly to the indexes? Does your query run on Roxy? Can you pick Roxy or Thor?
So we work through the WS SQL web services. So my understanding for that, and I'm not one of the developers for our HPCC systems tools, but my understanding for how that works is that the WS SQL gets turned into ECL, and then that ECL gets thrown in. And I think that's the extent of my knowledge as far as the underworkings. But we work through that WS SQL web services. So that's our interface for right now. I've been talking with Rodrigo, and we're going to connect later, I think, to try and figure out if there are better ways to do that. All right, so here we go. All right, good. Things are rolling now. All right, so we'll start with the Excel add-in. I'm going to show you guys some just basic connectivity, which is really simple. And then I'll pull some data in and do some visualization there. So when you install one of our Excel add-ins, it's going to add this CData ribbon to Excel. If you're connecting using more than one of our add-ins, more than one will show up here. I only have the one installed on the demo machine. So when you install it, the first time you run it, you're going to see a connection wizard. So this has all of the settings that are needed to connect to HPCC systems, and then like a whole lot more that let you customize how you connect, customize the way that the data is pulled in. But to connect, the only things that you need to know are the server address for your HPCC systems, the port for the WS SQL web services, which default is 8510, which we document, and then you just need a username and password to connect. And so for everything else, we handle on the back end. So we'll take the queries that Excel generates or that you generate, push them through the WS SQL web services, pull that bit data back into Excel for you, and then let you do with it what you want. So we also have caching and firewall and proxy settings that you can set up. So once you get all your credentials in, you can test the connection. So we connected successfully. So once you do that, you can connect. So the drop-down will contain a list of all of the tables that are available, that we accessed. We just have the one on our VM that we're running on my laptop. So we're going to pull data from that. And you have total control over what's pulled in. So you can specify which columns to pull in, which ones to leave alone. You can limit your results. But Excel is good but not great. HPCC systems is better at handling data and requests. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to give a specific request because I want HPCC systems to do the work, not Excel. So I'm going to just do an aggregation with a grouping. Group by two categories in the request. We're going to sum the sales. So the data that I have in here is Northwind sales data, just public data. So we're just going to see some sales order data here. So there we go. So the data gets thrown in. So as you can see, we have a grouping by, let me use this. Yeah, so we have grouping by provinces, and then within each province we have categories. And this is, I sent that request to HPCC systems, and then it did all of the heavy lifting to get me the data back that I wanted, which in a lot of cases is going to be preferred. So from here, you can do, the normal things that you would do in Excel. So, the new Excel has these cool 3D maps, so if you have location data, you can do that. Again, not an Excel demo, but just to show you what you can do with the data that comes back. So as you can see, we have some dots for locations in Canada, but those dots don't have any meaning. So I'm going to take that aggregation, that sum of the sales data, I'm going to put that as the height. So you should be able to see some bars that are different heights now. And then I want to go through and do those categories so we can make things look a little different. And those are stacked bars with the different categories. Again, not the best visualization, so we can switch to something like this. And again, all the heavy lifting was done by HPCC systems. So we're just getting you the data that you want and letting you work with it, quickly and easily, so that you don't have to worry about, Excel taking forever to churn the data, to manage it. So there we go. It's just a brief demo, pulling the data into Excel and, the different visualizations that you can do there. So the next thing I'm going to show you guys is the ODBC driver. Don't save, it's not important. All right, so when you install our ODBC driver, you're going to have the option to configure the DSN. And so anybody that's familiar with ODBC drivers will know what that means. But it's essentially just a connection wizard, if it'll show up. Maybe. Okay, well, it's not cooperating. That's fine. It looks exactly like the one that I pulled up for Excel. So you have the same kinds of properties that you can set, the same very minimal requirements to get to your data using ODBC, and then the same kind of custom things that we offer, so caching, proxies, firewalls, working with things like that. And then there's the same test. You can test the connectivity in the same way. All right. So ODBC is a little better than Excel. So I'm going to pull everything in raw. So it really is connecting. It's just like connecting to a database. So if you're used to connecting to a database in Tableau or Power BI or QlikView, you get the exact same type of connectivity to your HPCC systems data without having to worry about all of that nitty-gritty. So it's a little different. There's not like a server. I mean, there is, but our DSN handles all that connectivity. So I'll just sign in to connect to the data. And then we have a default database. And then we can look for tables. I know that I have orders. No matches. Maybe it's order. Maybe not. Well, that's fine. All right, so because the ODBC driver is significantly faster than the Excel add-in, I'm actually going to ask HPCC systems data for all of the data. So as you can see, we have row IDs, order IDs, sales statistics, and we do all of the typing. So whatever type the data is considered in HPCC systems, we'll grab that metadata and we'll spit it back to the tools that you're working with, so that it can be consumed properly. So everything gets put into the different properties and features that you're looking for. So we'll go here. So we have dimensions and measures, and thanks to our ability to grab the metadata, Tableau or Power BI or whoever you're using is going to be able to recognize the different kinds of things. So I'm just going to do the same kind of thing that I did in Excel. So we're going to pull province in there. Oh, I must not have internet connectivity. That's fine. We'll probably work it out anyway. And then I'm going to do sales as a color so we can get a heat map. Yeah, that's fine. And it looks like maybe something got messed up. I think Saskatchewan gets misspelled in this data for whatever reason, and Tableau doesn't recognize it. But that's not the point. The point is getting your data there, right? You guys are Tableau experts. I'm not. So I'll let you mess with how the data gets there. You just need to know that HPC Systems handles the data, and we'll get it to you when and where you want it. So that's working with the ODBC driver in Tableau. Just a brief overview. So I think there's a closing slide if you guys want to shift it off the laptop. There it is. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, so CData software. So what we do, we make reliable standards-based drivers. So However, you're used to consuming data in your custom applications, in your BI reporting ETL tools, we'll let you get your HPCC systems data there. And we simplify that connectivity by using standards and technologies that you're already familiar with. Anywhere you want it, that's the way you get it. So live access to HPCC systems data from anywhere. We do have fully functional 30-day trials. So there's no data limit. We don't scrub data for those 30 days of the trial, so you can try it out yourself and become sold because it's what you want, it's what you need. Yeah. So I think I have maybe time for one more question, and then I'll tackle that one if it shows up. And then if you guys have other questions, you can find myself or Eric is here with me. We'd be happy to answer any other questions and or sell you our drivers later today. So any other questions? No? Okay, cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was great. Very good. That was a great presentation. So if you are Tableau users and want to consume data directly from HPCC before you get a little bit more knowledge on DSP and other technologies, this is a great way to do. And if you have any other application that needs to integrate through either ODBC or JDBC or anything through any of the connectors that they have available, you know that this is a good solution to have. I saw a few comments in the tweet handle, but I didn't want to come up with any of those now. We have little time because I took too long this morning, so let's go directly to our next presenter, who is Narasimha. He's from Infosys. They have done a very good open source project on implementing ECL Builder. And I won't say what it is. I don't want to steal the thunder. So Narasimha, your time, and help me welcome him to the stage.
Check. Can you all hear me? All right, just a minute. For those who are wondering what I was doing, I was just writing some ECL query here and fetching the results. I was able to generate the report and see the report on my mobile. I just connected to my cluster and write ECL query. And by the way, very soon you will realize you don't need to have knowledge of ECL also if you want to fetch your data. We're going to simplify that. I'm going to simplify that to you all very soon. Thank you, Flavio. I'm really excited today because I get to learn a lot of things today, particularly. I get to see how HPCC is leveraged to solve all big data challenges. And more importantly, I get to share a little knowledge and share my story today. Myself, Narasimha, I'm from Infosys. I'm a technology architect at Infosys. Infosys is one of the global leaders in consulting services and next generation services like artificial intelligence and IoT, etc. Infosys is one of the partners and has been with HPCC from 2010, and we have created various focus groups both in China and India. In the last year summit, Mike Yang had presented about how we recommended HPCC to one of our key customers, who's supposedly one of the largest appliances industry in China. We recommended HPCC. In fact, we compared HPCC with other big data products and suggested on how it's going to improve the productivity and response time, many other things. We convinced and we were able to successfully implement it, and so far, good. We are able to live up to the challenge. Now, today, or this year, we want to present something called ECL Builder. That's right. I know we have ECL IDE, ECL Watch, ECL Scheduler, ECL Plus, ECL Builder. Now, I know many of you would have already started thinking what this is, and today I hope to kindle a spark in you to see what this is for and who this is for and what kind of change it's going to bring in our day-to-day workflow. Now, what is the purpose? What's the motivation? I want to talk about it a little bit. Any product which evolves or becomes more sophisticated, we are in 6.0 now, and very soon 6.2 is also lined up. And I was reading your blog, Lorraine, as I said, I really loved your blogs. Virtual slave and channeling, and also for developers adding trace, and you can either enable, disable it. These are all awesome things, and the performance, which has gone up. But HPCC, for some of the users, or for most of us, is data. I need access to my data. How quickly can I access it? All right, I know it's complex. I know that it does a lot of things. We had a wonderful animation, whatever it does. And it was like a sci-fi movie, yeah? The last year you recommended for Prometheus. I think he is definitely going to VFX industry. Sorry. It does a lot of things, but I have a set of users. We listened to some users who said, I want access to my data without any limitation, restriction, prerequisites. I don't want to install any software on my machine. I don't have to learn things. I want to use its service, its power, but I am not technically inclined, or I don't have time. These are the kind of users. And moreover, there are some users who want to learn HPCC, but are scared to start, because HPCC is like a big ocean. And they're enjoying the beauty of it, but they're scared it's too deep. How deep is it? Well, only those who are in that would know how deep is it. But for all the bystanders, they just don't know. So we listened to this set of users who said, give me access to the data. So what we wanted to do is, we wanted to simplify the access to the data by providing a very simple and convenient user interface. The end user, let's say a business analyst or any analyst, or any key person who wants access to the data, as long as they know what data they want and what kind of filtering they need to apply and what kind of reports they have to generate for whatever key decision they have to make, as long as they have an idea about it, they can use it. And this is pretty much a very simple and intuitive user interface. User, as soon as they log into the application, pretty much everything is simplified. So user need not be a developer with ECL knowledge. ECL is an awesome language, but there is some learning curve, right? Now, we don't want the user of HPCC to always have ECL language skill. This is very important. As I said, from any touch device, anywhere, and I like the previous presentation, Jerod, where you said access the data from anywhere, right? Ultimately, access it anywhere. There is a salesperson who's going to a meeting, and he quickly wants to see what are my users, who is using this functionality. I want to fetch a report of this. Instead of calling a developer or anybody to fetch the results, quickly pull your phone out, get the results, make a quick decision. HPCC is already fast. It gives us response. We just are making use of it. Well, I should have spoken about the agenda, but I hope I have set the purpose. And I'm going to take you through the features, simple features, and give a brief idea on what are the technologies which were used, and a demo. Well, I hope I have been a little clever there with the demo because I have pre-recorded it. So I didn't want to take a risk or go through the technical glitches today. Practical use of ECL builders, future enhancements, and then if time permits, Q&A. Quick challenges, which I already talked about. Few people who just want access to the data. And if you look at the last line, lack of provision for ECL developers to quickly generate repetitive boilerplate code. Well, while we were listening to users who wanted data, we very soon realized this also would help developers and beginners. And I would show that very soon. It's an online playground. As long as you are able to access your internet from any device, you can connect to ECL Builder. A simple URL. You can share it with anybody, just like I opened it from my mobile. You can open and connect to your ECL Builder. And a very simple authentication. Let me go to the next slide. Not too many things on the screen, very simple. You would have a preference where you can connect to any cluster. Provide your cluster information, they get persisted, secure, non-secure, with user ID, password, or without, as you have set it up. Connect to the cluster. And as I said, this would get persisted. And you can create n number of projects. You want your sales report for n number of things, you want your employee report, whatever reports you want. Create it, and it would be in your homepage. And you can come back to it anytime. Create a new builder. Not only that, yeah, this is the best part. So as soon as I create a new build, what it does is, we connect to the cluster, fetch all your logical files, which you have access for. So you can control. Now, there is a user ID, there is an authentication. I'm going to talk about it during the demo. But what you see here is, these are all the logical files. And people who use SQL, who are from SQL, they're going to love this, because this interface is also pretty much similar to what they have been doing. And here is the best part. You have a very good representation of all your logical files. And you just select it, and you have all the drop-down. And you can do all the slicing and dicing, play with it, get whatever attributes you want, and drag and drop. You got your boilerplate code. Well, it's as simple as that. I didn't have to write even a single line of code. Now, is that it? No, definitely not. But I'm just restricting myself here. Now, what else can you do with this? You can add actions, which I'm going to talk about very soon, or go ahead and execute this command. Now, as I said, one of the things is, these are the list of the projects I have created, and you can continue to edit it, revisit it, make changes, and all your changes would also be recorded in the build history. Any change you make at any point of time with respect to the code, with respect to the output you got, would also be in the history. These are all associated to the single user who logged in initially. You can clone it and delete it. And these are all persisted and can be accessed across any device. Let's talk about the editor. Now, I want to say this. This is definitely not something I recommend, like use this instead of IDE. No, definitely, this is not a replacement. This is just going to make your life a little easy. And all the code there was not written. Not in a single line of code was written. This was all done by just drag and drop and button clicks. Now, another thing we have given is, you can also import your data here. Just like whatever you do in the landing zone, upload and spray, we have given it here as well. So you don't have to go to the landing zone and do your uploading. I mean, there are times where users want to upload the data. We have heard a lot. We said, okay, the data I want, I need to now send it to developer, they upload it, then I check it. Can I do it? Well, of course. And you don't worry, you don't have to care about spraying or uploading, all the stuff. Go ahead, import it. I'm going to demo this, but I'm going to talk about it right now. About the importing, we will have the demo. Next, if you see, it's a simple UI. You will have different tabs for different projects with all the results, and you have the output. Here's the laser. Here's a simple output and the build history. And actions, as I said, we have join, sort, dedupe, distribute, and sampling. More actions are yet to come. Now, here is where it becomes a little interesting. We don't want to make this a placeholder for you to code or do everything. We wanted to draw a fine line where the end user, the set of users who do certain filtering, they sort, they dedupe. These are all the kind of things which we know they do very often, and we want to keep it very limited and simple. We don't want to overcomplicate with too many functions and too many support to generate the code. Now, can that be done? Yes, that can be done, but we don't want to overcomplicate it. So we have kept it really simple. Here is the output window. You get the results, and you can either download it, or you can create your pivot table. Pivot table, again, I will be demoing it. Build history, as I said, all your work units for every query you executed is stored here. You can go back to it, check the code, or download it. It's all there. Now, those are the multiple tabs here. You can keep as many tabs as you want, open it, scroll through your results and code, etc. Pivot table. One of the good things about this is, this again is drag and drop. Based on whatever attributes from the table you have selected, you can drag and drop. And this supports all this type of chart and also aggregator methods. And in fact, I'm going to talk about the technology and the code in a while. So the user can run the query, open the pivot, and the pivot table is generated by the data which was fetched from HPCC system. And this can pretty much crunch 100,000 records. Now, if your system and browser has the performance or has the capability to crunch more numbers, yeah, this would allow it. You can just get the number, and these are the simple examples of different graphs. I'm just summarized what we just now spoke. Wait for the demo. And if you see, it's an online playground, provides convenient and intuitive interface, preference settings to connect to any cluster, upload files, create new projects, and you can persist your ECL code and as a separate projects, easily browse and select logical files, clear iconic overview of all your logical tables with data sets, and vertical filtering, drag and drop. One more thing, syntax highlighting. That pretty much looked like your editor. Syntax checking, we don't support it now, but we intend to. You can, in fact, do your syntax checking also, which you don't have to because the code is auto-generated. It follows the convention, and it is always correct. Download your output and provide a very good visualization. Again, this is what we just now did. Login, authentication. You can create, edit, clone, or delete your builds. Drag and drop. You can import the data set. And then actions, join, sort, distribute, dedupe, and sampling. Run, output, download. As simple as that for an end user. Again, we just wanted to keep it so simple that the subset of user whom we are focusing on do not get confused with the complexity, with the amount of flexible support HPCC provides. We want to keep it simple. Architectural details. I would love to talk about this when I come to after the demo. But what this means is you can download this right now, run it on your system without having to install any SQLDB or anything, and host this in any Tomcat or any servlet container, connect to your cluster, and give the URL to anybody you want. They can start connecting to your cluster from anywhere and do whatever I just now showed, which I'll be showing in the demo. That's how the architecture is. Technology, ZK framework is what we have used. It's an, again, open source, Ajax-based, event-driven platform. And then we are using WS Client Library. The JAPI interface, it's all there. We're just making use of it. And it can be built as a Maven project. And as I said, it's a self-contained package that uses embedded Tomcat server. And you don't need anything else. Everything is in the zip folder, which we are going to upload, which is, in fact, already uploaded. And there is an embedded database. Can be installed on any server. All right. For the purpose of demo, as I said, I have pre-recorded it. I wish I had known Richard first so that I could have put his voice in this. But what I'm going to do is you might have to listen to me for some more time. So I will be speaking while the demo is going on. It's pretty much to show how simple it is to navigate across different things, different features. And anybody, the person who's using this does not have to know anything about HPCC. That's the primary intention to begin with. Can we please play the video, please? As I said, no sound, so just think there is some sound there. And welcome to HPCC, ECL Builder. That's the URL it got me. It's a simple authentication, SQL-based authentication, and these are all my existing projects. I connect to a cluster. Once I connect to a cluster, create a new build. So what I'm going to do first is upload the file in the landing zone. So let me create a build. So this is our editor window. Yeah, it came a little late. It should have come sooner. So upload it. Now I'm uploading a simple text file with, as you see, these are all pretty much, people who have used HPCC and upload file, they might be able to connect to it pretty much fast. But for a non-HPCC user, all we are saying is, okay, you have structured or unstructured data. This is the data. Okay, all your headers are in the first line. It's a pipe delimited data. All right, add a pipe there, and it would populate your fields. Now go ahead and give a logical name, whatever you want it to be, and that's something which is going to go and get sprayed. And you have the name in there. Even the scope can be given there. And select a data structure. I'm going to choose the string for everything. Do the things which you want to do about all the attributes. Now, I can change the name from spray to something else, something fancy, upload your document. But anyways, it's spraying and doing pretty much the same thing which we do from the landing zone. And that's it. Once it got sprayed, all we're going to do is, once it's sprayed successfully, go find the file which got sprayed. There you go, you have it. Now I want to create a new builder. All right, let's write a new query where I can sort and join my results. I'm going to select my table. That would populate all the attributes. Slice and dice, drag and drop. You got your code, and go ahead and run. You would get the results. I'm doing sort. All right. Sort again, you see it's simple button click. Not even a single line of code has been written yet, and the user doesn't have to know anything about ECL. Now you might be wondering, why are we putting the code there? I'll answer that, but just hold on for that. So that's it. That's our results. You can, based on the number of output actions, we have that many results, and this is your work unit. And that's the code. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join. So I'm going to select another table, select few attributes, select the columns, drag and drop. How we do all these things, we can talk about it in detail, but they're pretty much intelligent to make sure we fetch the previous record set, data set, and link it. Drag and drop, select your left file, right file, select the condition. Now the condition is going to be content sensitive, but as of now it's not, but we're going to do that as well. And give an appropriate name for your join. And we support all types of join. Submit, and there is the query which got generated. Run. So as easy as that, and all the output actions are there in different tabs here, if you notice. And here is your build history. On this build, I have run two work units. So I can go back to that, view that, see the ECL code, everything. It's all persisted. I think I'm just now doing a simple download. It's an Excel download. You can download it. It's a CSV file. Join, sort, dedupe, distribute, and sampling. This is what we support as of now. And let's do a dedupe very quickly. Couple of such examples. You demo it to any end user, no matter whether they have HPCC knowledge or not, they would be able to start using this product. That's our primary intention, to not overcomplicate it at all, to keep it as simple as possible. And people who are using ECL IDE are pretty much, you might have got it. We try to keep this interface, number of tabs open, all these things in sync. So here, applying a dedupe, and we support both local and global. And the code got populated and run. And I think I have 2 action. So I would have 2 actions there. And yeah, this is my first output, and the second output, if you see, we don't have, it's deduped. That's how fast and simple it was, and most importantly, you didn't need any knowledge. And pivot table, you can go to any persisted results, go back to that, and that was my persisted result. It would fetch the code back for me, and it would have all your output. And let's play with the pivot table. As I said, this again is a simple drag and drop, providing you an option to select any kind of a graph and any kind of aggregator. You can add this, and you can play with big data as well. It's pretty fast. Now, this is a Java plugin. All the HPCC data which we got is pumped into this as a JSON file, and it generates it. And we do support the tooltip on the graph, and this graph supports all D3, C3, and Google Renderer as well. I have kept few examples just to see how quickly you can navigate through different examples, different graphs. Now, I know in 6.0 we have an awesome visualization framework. That's one awesome. We'll have to just work on that. But these are the examples, how quickly you can navigate. And I think I'm going to stop very soon on this. Thank you. Now, I'm not going to stop now. That was the video, so please hold on for your applause. Thank you. That was the demo. Thank you for switching. Collaborate. What I showed was just the tip of iceberg. As I said, you can go get this code, get this zip, deploy it on your system. Want to make changes, start making it. I'm running out of time. So what I showed is just tip of iceberg. And I'm sure many of you, when you get your HPCC into your product, you would have written an interface to visualize it and do many things. But what we wanted to do here is give that access to the user who do not have ECL knowledge and pretty much make use of this. I know there will be many people here with different use cases, wanted to simplify the access to the data, which you would write. Like data is used for saving life. In the previous year's presentation, we had a guard hat, how that was a wonderful presentation, how the data was used. And everyone who uses HPCC has to ultimately build a framework which is going to retrieve and help them visualize. But if we collaborate, if we know the end users, we can help them all by making them not to worry about the technology or technical knowledge involved in it. ECL Builder is in use. It's already being used by FDA clinical trial analysis, and they don't have to talk to developers anymore, so they just do it by themselves. All the business analysts, by the way. Using as a teaching tool, this is very important. When I started using this, when I wanted to learn HPCC, this is where I started. And had someone told me that you have to write an ECL query, what it does is your ECL query gets converted into work unit and goes to the DALI, and DALI takes the work unit, sends it to the ECL server where the code is executed, and the executable is taken and sent to the ECL agent, where ECL agent applies it to the Thor, and the work unit is updated, and it then updates the client. And by the way, in 6.0, work unit is handled by Cassandra. So if someone had told me in the beginning, I would have probably got scared. And I don't want to tell that. But all I want to tell is, go ahead, use this. It's going to be very simple for you. And the team, the lead architect, Ashoka, who worked on this, unfortunately couldn't come. So I had to present it on his behalf. And 3 weeks back is when I started learning HPCC. Fast forward 3 weeks, I'm here presenting about ECL Builder. Of course, for this 3 weeks, for me, eat, sleep, and dream has been HPCC because it has fascinated me so much that I could not stop. So, teaching tool, yes. And developers can use this code as well. Since I'm running short of time, these are the upcoming enhancements. I'm going to quickly go through this. We're going to make it more flexible. We are going to use Angular 2.0 because of some challenges with ZK framework. And we are going to add additional ECL constructs and provide more sort. For example, we only support field-based sort, but we are going to support expression as well. Roxy queries is something you might have not seen. That's also something we're going to support. And machine learning. Yeah, that's the key thing which we are talking today. So that's also going to come in. And making ECL Gradle compatible and embed visualization. Now, I would like to thank the team and Arjuna for all his support. I don't know if Arjuna ever sleeps because he's involved in so many projects, and to you all as well. And thanks, Arjuna, and thanks to the team. We got a lot of help from you. And finally, to conclude, what I want to say is HPCC is like a big ocean. Most of us in here are deep in it. We are making benefit of its excellent features. But there are many bystanders who are all standing there and looking into it, scared to get in it. But all we want to say from this tool is, don't worry, come on in. It's not as deep as you think, it's just shallow. Take a step in, and one step at a time, and very soon they are deep in HPCC, which would make them embrace HPCC to solve the big data problem now and in future. Thank you, everyone, and I'm open for Q&A. All right, because of time running, thanks, Flavio.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, we have little time, so I don't want to spend much time on questions now. But he will be available throughout the entire day, so feel free to contact him in any break. And if you thought ECL was scary, even if you are watching the live stream, well, this will debunk that myth. Now you can learn ECL without writing code and just reading it and just seeing what the tool provides. Without more preamble, let's get our next speaker, who is a repeat speaker, David Dasher. He will tell us about the wonderful things that he has been doing throughout the last year, and he's always exciting when he speaks, so I expect that this will bump your spirits and get you a little bit more excited throughout the rest of the day. David, please come to stage.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me back. I thought after last year you'd never see me again. And hopefully this won't be the year that I fall off stage, which I dread. What we're going to do this year is talk a little bit about what we've done since last year. Last year we talked about how we went from struggling with SQL to really thriving with HPCC. And that was all about building our infrastructure, if you like, and that was just getting the groundwork going. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick look at some of the new features that we've added. There's so much we could talk about, but what we're actually going to do is just focus on a few key areas. So of all of our products that we've actually built, our company's based, software company, but it's based on e-learning and training technology. But we've added new product and features, which is custom course creating tools, so users can create their own content. We've added insight and analytics, which we're going to talk about a bit later. Our very own visualization dashboard, which is built on top of the HPCC visualization layer, which we're really thrilled about. And gamification and more physical risk management solutions that we've actually built in. We talked last year about how we grew. I mean, the first few years we were growing over 100% year on year. Last year, we finished on 4.3 million session logins into our platform. This year, it looks like we're going to beat it again with an estimated 5.2 million session starts on our platform, doing things, learning, surveys, appraisals, you name it. Big up on last year, we had about 750,000 active users on our platform, which has now gone to just shy of 1 million users, all requesting stats, all running courses, tons of transactional data on there. So we're really being hammered. But in the old days, we'd be crying and rocking in our chairs, wondering what to do. Now we just keep on smiling and let it come in because HPCC is at the back of us. I wanted to show a really quick update to our infrastructure. On the right-hand side, the big thing that we've done this year is we've added 2 new, or upgraded our clusters to 120 node clusters, one for our main product, and then another for our clients where we actually as a business now, we host big data solutions for them, which I'm going to touch on a little bit later, but we've added more multi-nodes, Roxy servers, some single nodes, and cloud-based Roxy nodes, which is great. So we really spread that load balance, so we have full coverage and full redundancy on everything we do. So we're really, really thrilled about that. Just some of the products that we've been creating. So we've got our app technology, which is a huge part of what we're doing now. Most of our clients, the learning needs to be on mobiles. They need to be able to do absolutely everything they need to do. We've got some clients in this particular one where they actually create collaborative technology where they may have 5,000 employees, but they're split into 6 groups, and they all compete against each other in competitions, uploading social data, you name it, and that's all powered by HPCC systems, which we're thrilled. This one for Heineken, actually, where we actually do all their appraisal data. I'm not shouting out to them because I drank their beer last night, but that really was in the presentation. So again, it's all very visual, great, looks great, and is used by their sales force, but again, powered by our platform. We've created or creating a whole gamification 3D open world engine, and so instead of navigating through, click a button, you have little sprite characters that can walk around the virtual environment. You can configure your own characters, have leaderboards and everything else, and again, that's all done on our platform. We've also created career pathways. So this one is actually for a bowling company. And it's all about, I'm going to start as a junior member of staff and how can I progress through to management. And again, that's all powered by this platform. And lastly here, this is for one of the largest companies in the UK. This is a risk management tool where in their big warehousing systems, they've got certain key facilities that need monitoring, whether they be electricity boards or power stations or whatever it is. And again, we create these 3D environments and it alerts users to when they've got a problem. And again, I keep saying it's powered by your systems. So what I do, I thought I'll show you a really small video just to give you a feel for what our products do. And it's going to give you a bit of insight on what we're going to talk about next. So if we can play the next video, please. Stuck in a loop. Here we go. Right. Just before I carry on, I've been told and texted by our office to say hello to everybody because everybody's watching. Hello. All the team who basically put all this together: animators, geeks, project managers, support teams, you name it, our education guys. So there's a huge team that puts this together. And last year I asked them to go back to work after the presentation, and Flavio kindly overrode me and told them to keep watching, so that's what they decided to do. So thank you very much for that. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to talk about 4 elements really quickly. I know I touched on them last year. The first 2, suspicious activity and pre-course assessments, really drive what the last 2 pieces are. So, and again, we do e-learning courses. It's all compliance-based, so food safety, say. And what you want to know is, has somebody taken a course? Have they done it legitimately? And can that be trusted? Because you don't want people handling food who cheated on a course and don't understand things. So what we've actually done is built into that, and the equations are based on things like average course time, but it's not just the whole average course time for food safety, it's based on food safety in your job role, with your peers, in your business, and it's down to that specifically, how are you doing against everybody else. And incidentally, average course time, when some companies actually pay their staff to do online training, so when we say a course should take an hour, an average of an hour, and strangely, when the overtime bill comes in, it took 3 hours to do that course, strangely. So that can be used to counteract that. The exam time, so how long does it take to read an exam? Compose yourself, take the test. We put trick questions in our learning, and if you get them right and ignore the trick question every time, that's a bit of a suspicious indicator. The time it takes to read and absorb the questions, or other users at the same site doing exactly the same patterns. Are we finding those patterns with same people working on the same staff rota, so we know when you're all working, and then what's your location? And just to give you an example of suspicious activity, we've had 2 cases where one is the whole site appeared to be cheating, and when we went round and investigated, they'd taken every single possible question, pinned it up on a piece of paper on the wall, and the average exam time was actually how long it took to look at the wall, find the question, and then answer it. So that was a pattern. Another one where one guy working a night shift had 6 laptops all in a row, and he would do each question and go all the way through. And again, we showed that up as well. So we withdrew all those certificates, and then they had to redo it actually properly. So again, that's interesting. But as I say, looking at course time, exam time, trick questions, all these little bits and location data actually gives us an idea of, there are some super smart people and they can look suspicious, but again, probability increases when somebody else at the same site or you work with does it. In our calculations of all of our 3.4 million courses, we actually found and noted that 13% we thought were suspicious in some way. Okay. However, only 5% of the 13% we actually said were high probability of suspiciousness. Again, we just showed a little heat map there, but that's how we visualize it to our customers. Again, we used those features, if you like, to then drive other features. So what we call pre-course assessment. So some of our users have to redo courses year on year. And that can get a bit boring. We put 3D animation, gaming technology in, but if somebody's been told to do a course, I'm sure you guys have to do annual courses on money laundering and all these things, and it's the most dreaded thing you have to do. So what we try and do is come up with new ways about making it interesting. So whether that's visualization and gaming, or what's been allowed with this technology is, if we know you've got a great score, you've understood the content, you haven't cheated, and you've got a certain profile, we'll say, well, you actually understand the content, it hasn't changed, so we'll let you go straight to the exam. Now, what's really cool about that, I put a little tiny example together of a live client, and if they've got just over 3,000 users, and they all basically together collectively do 21,000 courses, taking basic minimum wage, that would actually cost about £82,000. Okay, I'm not sure what that is in dollars, but probably the UK market the way it is at the minute. I hate to say. So what we then calculated is 51% of all those courses were actually done with over 90% and met all the criteria. So if you isolate that from the £82,000, it's £45,000 worth of man hours. If you take the exam time out, which in this case is about £5,000, that's a £40,000 saving that you don't need your guys to do training with, because they've shown they've got the knowledge, and our big data platform has then done the calculations in real time and allowed them to actually skip that training, which is really interesting. The next one I'm going to talk about, which we're really excited about, and this is selling like hotcakes for us. This is we've got new calculations and analysis that we're actually building in. So the first one being calculating engagement. And what we've got there, we're not just calculating how many people have logged in. We've got which platforms are you using? Are you doing learning activity? Are you reading news items? Are you creating news items? Are you reading messages? Are you doing appraisals? All these things. So what that enables us to do is actually calculate a level of engagement. But what we're simply not doing is actually saying, well, okay, this many people have logged in throughout the month. We can actually calculate and make it so, okay, if you log in once in the week, over a monthly period, then we'll count you as engaged and you're doing certain activities. Now, what that enables us to do is, this is one of our dashboards, again, created with the HPCC visualization layer. Thank you, Gordon, wherever you are. And what we've got here is just this. I've manipulated this slightly, but we can see this particular company is 10% engaged. They've got a staff level of about 1,200 people on average. On each day, there's 42 people using the platform. 37,000 logins over a period, and we can see that split between app and desktop. We can see how that compares throughout the year. If I got a, Jedi. We can see how that appears over the year, and then they've done a big product launch in July, bigger hit, and then it's coming down to a more meaningful level, but it's still way above where they were. And then we can actually see that per day. And all that's done in literally under a second, and it's fantastic. It actually takes longer to draw it than it does get the data back. But what that means is these sorts of things now are measurable, where typically that really hasn't been done before. We also have what we call starters and leavers, which is HR analytics. So what we're also doing, and we can aggregate this by site, position, company, you name it. We can spin it any way you like. You guys know how that works. But what we're looking at is, how many starters a company has and leavers over a period. UK hospitality is notorious. It's about 100% churn rate of staff. It's pretty high. So every penny you spend on training and learning, if you can save somebody from going and give them a career pathway or anything else, you're going to save a bunch of money. So then we start looking at patterns. Well, how much time did they spend doing e-learning? How much time has the company spent doing e-learning on any given day? How much time was that suspicious? Of all the people who've left, how much experience have you lost? You name it. And again, what's the overall churn rate? How much time have we spent? So we can actually see that from a budgetary point of view. And then we've actually got the learning costs. And again, we visualize it this way. And what's really interesting here is a couple of things. Obviously, you get the 99% churn rate of staff, 960 starters, 944 leavers over a period. But looking at this as we then aggregate it through, not just summarize the entire, this is a calendar year, but actually we can then split it out and iterate through every single day and then show what those patterns look like. And where companies are using this, that's in a Christmas period. Christmas gets nice and busy. Then we start to go into rugby season, gets busy again, then slows down. Then we've got the summer season. And what our companies are doing is using this data to actually predict when they're having to do recruitment, and they can build on top of it. And that's just a really basic look, but the amount of stats we're drawing from this is one of the biggest successes is in under 5 seconds, we can produce data that is taking companies 3 staff members and 3 weeks to put together, which is fantastic. And now they're starting to say, well, can we give you our staff wage data? Can we give you any other bits of information? And then once you add the cost in there, it's absolutely fantastic. So some of the data sources we're working with at the minute, so we've got payroll data, LMS data, click events, point of sale till systems, mouse events, third-party data, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. We're hosting all of that and aggregating it all together and hopefully making some interesting insights for our customers. Really quickly, we're bringing in things like weather patterns and there's 6,000 weather stations in the UK. We link them to every single site, 125,000 sites that are available, and we can calculate weather patterns, do surveys, you name it. And again, it's all in. If we don't do it in under a second, we'll really throw our teddies out. Lastly, because I'm going to bring a guest speaker on in a second, we've created our own visualization framework, again, built on the HPCC visualization, all written in JavaScript, which inherits everything from the normal visualization library. We have a few bits like some client-side SQL on top. So just to give you a feel, what we actually do, We have a configuration layer, so we connect to one of our Roxy clusters, we give it the query name, we specify which output we're interested in, we then validate it and we get all of our parameters, so in this case it's a Twitter feed, give it a client name, put a date range in, and you can see 0.12 seconds later, we've got all of our columns and all of our rows. Without going into what the data is, what we can then do is go off and visualize that. So again, it all inherits from dermatology and the framework, so we can configure absolutely anything we want to do. We then choose what chart and analysis we're actually going to draw. And again, as I say, just, we wanted to give our staff the means that they can manipulate this data any which way they like. So what we've done is built a little SQLite layer on top, which is on client side. So however that Roxy data comes back, they can manipulate it, they can aggregate it differently, they can make it fit with whichever visualization they're interested in. And then we can go off and then start visualizing this with our own tools. So there's we're using this virtually all the time, this great UK Choropleth. This one's looking at staffing levels in the UK. We have clients giving us data about service levels in the country, percentage of late food delivery. Again, on this one, we're choosing some staffing data. We've got Twitter showing sentiment analysis, and then we've got staffing level, service levels, which were actually all aggregated on those dashboards. So literally this particular dashboard took about 6 or 7 minutes to create with our tool, all connecting to 3 different clusters, and then just visualizing it, which is great and we're thrilled about. And again, just connecting to some of our standard tools, which these are survey tools. So our products, we have generic surveys. They can list the survey, click the one they want, see what the response rate's been, by site if necessary. Here's all the questions, and then just click on the one, and it's totally interactive, and then starts linking everything together, which also means we can deliver reports, generic dashboard reports to all of our clients as standard. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to hire more programmers. It's literally straight in and away we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to shut up for a minute, which you'll be pleased to hear. We're going to invite Bob Foreman on, who's going to talk about a new app we've done with you guys to do with as Flavio mentioned at the beginning, to do with training. And then hopefully, if you hang on at the end after that, we've got a nice surprise, which I hope you're really all going to like. So here's a little trailer for what Bob's going to talk about.
Woo! Everybody see that? Mike Payne in the back. Can you see that? There it is. Apps loaded. Let me pass this around, everybody. Now, I got a better idea. Why don't you go out there and download it? Because it's now active. It is on the App Store. It is on Android. So just search for HPCC Systems. Download it, ready to go. So fantastic. David, thank you so much. Next slide. Let's go to the slide there.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, these are the core courses, and I've got just 3 things to say. Number 1, David and his development team, thank you for putting this together. Last year, Richard Taylor and I were sitting here for his presentation, and we saw all the graphics and the statistics for training. We said, how can we partner with David? And David said, well, guess what? Let me write an app for you. So we've been testing this, we've been going through it, and now it's just another method of delivering training. So on this app, we have the core courses, the Introduction to ECL, Introduction to Thor, and we have plans for a lot more, maybe the HPCC for managers. I don't know, talk to Richard, maybe Roxy, we can sneak in there too. So that's the first thing. Thank you, David. Thank you for your team for putting this together. Again, just to emphasize, we are serious about ECL training. So 3 methods of training: classroom training, of course. I just got back from St. Cloud last week. And we have remote training. I'll be starting a remote training class on Monday. And then we have, of course, the online training that's available 24/7, 365 days a year. So that's the courses, and then we have the different ways to learn I just went through. And the last thing I want to say is thank you guys, because we are a small part of HPCC. We put these courses together. We plant the seed, and I love this summit because when we come to the summit, we see all of the great things that you guys are doing with it, and just, you know, we get you started, and you guys do some amazing things with it. So I just want to thank you for going through the training and doing some great things with HPCC and ECL. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I'm really nearly done now. So last year we finished off and we had our big 3D video of the wormhole and showing how big data looks. So we went back and said, well, we thought we could do much better than that. So we created the video at the beginning with the circuit board and the Thor and the Roxy and everything else, which was great. The trouble was I gave that to Flavio quite early on, and then he's like, oh, I'm going to take it and open up with it, which means I didn't have one. Thank you. So what we did, we thought we'd have a little, myself and our 3D team, and Joe Pritchard, who just said he wanted to be executive producer and wanted to be the main character in there. So we created a concept, we created a little a 3D video, which took about 3 months to render, and it was all about our struggle with SQL and how you then move over to ECL. So, and the reason we do this is again, a thank you from us, because HPCC literally saved our bacon, and we're just, our business expanded because of it, and we're thrilled to be part of this community, and I'm personally thrilled that you all, every one of you has made me feel so welcome, so thank you very much. And this is, so the idea is, this is Mr. Finch, no reference to person of interest, honest. So Mr. Finch runs Finch Data Services, and he's got an employee, Mr. Pritchard. There he goes again, he's making me put it in. And this is just about how they're struggling with clients to go. So I really hope you enjoy it. We've just created it just for a bit of fun. And I hope you like it. But thank you very much for listening.
Good morning, Finch Data Services. Yes, sir, we do. What size is the file you would like us to look at, sir? Was it 3 billion rows of data and 25 billion links? Of course, sir, that's not a problem. If you could send us the link, we'd get our engineers on it right away for you, sir. Not a problem. Speak soon. Bye. Well, Pritchard.
We can't possibly upload, store, and analyze that much data. Never mind find patterns in it.
Well, we must find a way. Not this way. Anyway, must shoot. Got a plane to catch. On my desk by Wednesday.
God. I may be screaming by Wednesday. Big data. HPCC systems, computer clusters, is an open source, massive parallel computing platform for big data. ECL Builder, Rockstar, Enormous, Ray, Visualize. Mr. Finch is so gonna love what this can do. Okay, just a few more courses to complete and then I should be able to use this. Let's go. Whoa. Let's see if it's faster than the last time. Wow. By Wednesday. Let's see. This is crazy. This is giving us insight into everything. I now know ECL. Mr. Finch.
What the hell?
Stop. It's on your desk top. I think you're gonna like this.
We'll see, shall we?
How the... Not only has he finished the analysis and listed what the client has asked for, he has even discovered insights we wouldn't have even thought to have looked for. I just didn't think a calculation like this was possible, due to the data being so big.
Amazing. I know it's great, isn't it?
How was this possible?
It's all powered by HPCC systems.
That was really great. I don't know if you have felt they've been taken away by ECL, but that video was good. And thank you very much, Bob. Great job on the training side, on the mobile training, and I hope we keep in mind, we track who goes there, so please go and take the online training. If you haven't, recommend it, tell your friends, use social media, and for those on the video stream, please do so too and tell everyone. Now, we have a little bit constraint with time, so the break was meant to be 15 minutes to give you time to go through see the posters, but unfortunately we're going to make it a little bit shorter. Let's try to do 5 minutes break, maybe in order to be efficient. This part of the room goes to the bathroom first and coffee later. This part goes to the coffee first. And well, you get the idea. Let's be back in 5 minutes and we can continue. We have a great presentation about similarity search from Professor Freytag and Fabian Fier, and I hope you enjoy too.